David, I want to read a quote written by Jack Welch. He's
Okay.
one of my mentor. Initially, he was a book mentor. I read all of his books written about him. Eventually, I had opportunity to take a few classes with him. And Jack Welch once said, an organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action is the ultimate competitive advantage. How do you build a learning organization?
Well, I think that it's not simple, that's for sure. If it were simple, a lot of people would be doing it very easily. I think it starts, of course it starts again, as it often does, with setting an example. I often tell my folks that, I don't know everything, but I'm good at knowing where to go for answers often if I don't. And I also know when I have to shore up my knowledge. And so, as an example, and this happens in technology all the time, right? In fact, with the Facebook IPO and NASDAQ having technical problems, it's a great example. What would NASDAQ learn from that? What would the people inside that organization learn? And I found myself in those situations over the years, involved in technology just as often as most people do, leading this kind of an effort. And so, I tell people, look, we need to have, first of all, an understanding of, is this something we need to learn, right? What do we need to learn at sort of its base level? And then I like to use the metaphor that's used for in the technology world, what we call A/B testing or multivariate testing, where you on a website, for example, you would display two different versions of something. Of course, the customer would only see one, but they would be different in that you would want to know, is this performing page, would this page perform better than that page? And so we call that test and learn. And so I like to apply that really to my teams, which is, okay, so we think we have a hypothesis on something, let's test it and let's learn about it. But I'm even more interested, so that's kind of at a broad level for the organization, but I think you have to look at it at an individual level. And it goes back to what I said earlier about really taking an active interest in people's careers and literally requiring that they have a learning agenda and a learning plan. And so to me, those individual learning plans, along with a strategy and vision, can roll up into an overall learning plan for an organization and an agenda that has to endure beyond any leader or any team member or anything. And then I think you need a place where, this is where technology comes in very nicely, where it is your knowledge management environment, where you can house all of this knowledge, whether it's what are all the skills of the people we have, and gosh, I have a question about this technology, who do I go to something that somebody might have learned about a specific part of the code base, for example, or something like that. So I think it requires a lot of discipline. It requires a formula. I like the way your organization approaches it, and it's one of the reasons we reached out to you. I think that we are in a very dynamic time in society, and people are learning. There's so much information, and you can be overwhelmed with it. And so it's really a question of focusing on what's the most important stuff to learn at the moment, and then being able to apply that to what you're facing. And we absolutely are putting together a learning plan and agenda. Each person in the team has to have one. And then when that happens, everybody recognizes how important it is to the organization. So I think it's not easy, as I said, but it is critical to the success of the group.